Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we are going to talk about Arimidex. Now just remember, I am not a doctor. I am not telling you to use anything. I'm not telling you to do anything. All I am doing is simply providing you with some education on what I've learned over the years, what I've experienced, what I've seen, etc. This is for your entertainment, and what you do with this information is completely up to you. I am not responsible. So let's talk about it. Arimidex is the trade name for Anastrozole, as many of you know. Many bodybuilders call it Adex or just Dex, so you know what's being said if you're kind of new to this. Now, it was approved in the United States for use in 1995, and it's a non-steroidal aromatase inhibiting drug, and is approved for treatment of breast cancer after surgery. So, since breast cancer can be heightened by the increase in estrogen, Arimidex is actually used to inhibit the synthesis of estrogen. So, when a man uses steroids, certain compounds, they're going to aromatize into estrogen. The main culprits are going to be like testosterone, D-bol, trestolone. These are some of the higher rates of conversion to estrogen. Now, if estrogen is not inhibited by using an aromatase inhibitor, then high estrogen side effects are probably going to occur. Some people are blessed and they don't experience it, but most will. And the most well-known side effect is gynecomastia. Or just gyno, all right? And that is where you are going to start to see breasts form on you, which you don't want to have happen. So a man could notice like a lump forming, within your breast or under your nipple area. And if you don't treat it quickly, or you let it get too far out of hand, there is always the possibility of needing surgery to remove it. The lesser known but more serious side effects are caused by water retention, which can give you a really bloated or full look. Extra water weight to your body or face is commonly known as moon face. Can ruin your physique that you've worked so hard to build while on cycle. And carrying all that extra water weight is going to strain your body's lipids across the board. It's going to increase your blood pressure, which is definitely not something you want. Extra heart strain, and you're also going to have a lot of like lethargy, loss of energy. And another thing, beyond, and let me point out, it can affect your libido as well, but another thing that gets overlooked is the mental. It can really affect you mentally. And I've seen it with a lot of guys. It can cause you to be depressed. But also, just keep in mind too, if you're too aggressive when you're inhibiting estrogen by using compounds that are harsher than Arimidex, this can cause your estrogen to drop too low. And as a result, you can expect like erectile dysfunction, loss of energy, depression, low libido. So there's a fine line in between there that you don't want to cross either way. Now, let's talk about Arimidex versus Novadex. Now, the main advantage in using Arimidex over a SERM like Novadex is that Arimidex blocks the aromatase enzyme, therefore it prevents the production of estrogen in the first place. Now, in comparison, Novadex will hinder the estrogen receptors from receiving the estrogen rather than stopping production at the source. So you will still have estrogen floating around in your body when you use a SERM like Novadex. Now, let's talk about Arimidex versus Letrozole. Now, Arimidex side effects are not as harsh when you compare it to an AI like Letrozole, which has a whole bunch of side effects, the most common being erectile dysfunction. Now, although estrogen is known as a female hormone, men still need it in their body, just like women still need testosterone in their body. Now, for men, estrogen balances them hormonally, okay? And it helps them gain muscle and strength. And that's why Letrozole, which is a really harsh aromatase inhibitor that kills almost all estrogen, isn't always the best to achieve hormonal balance on your cycle. Now, on the other hand, this is where Arimidex shines because it's more gentle, all right? It won't crush your estrogen levels so you can be more balanced. Now, Letrozole is about the only realistic alternative out there aside from Aromacin. Now, people will use Arimistane, and some people think that you can use Proviron and Masteron. I'm not even going to get into that right now. That's ridiculous. But Aromacin and Arimidex are going to be your two mains. Now, Aromacin is stronger. It's a suicidal inhibitor where Arimidex is not. I always say Arimidex is more of a suppressor and Aromacin just kills your estrogen off. Now, I always prefer Aromacin, but that's because I'm very estrogen sensitive, and a lot of people, let's put it this way, more are than are not, but there's a host of people that aren't. And a lot of people watching this, I'm sure, are saying that. Well, let me echo for you, because I agree that Arimidex is best used for people like that, because Aromacin can actually be too strong for them and it can crush their estrogen levels. So here's the key. How do you know which is best for you? Well, the only way to know is through blood work. Okay? Pre, mid, and post-cycle blood work. That's how you can see how your body's responding to compounds, to dosages, to aromatase inhibitors, everything that you're taking. That's the only way to really know. But if you're not estrogen prone, then you probably want to consider Arimidex, just because Aromacin could be too harsh. And maybe it's not, but you have to find out for yourself. I can't psychically tell everybody how their body responds. I wish I could, but I can't. All I can give you are, general dosings and protocols and things like that I've learned. Side effects for Arimidex are pretty low. In breast cancer study, there was some bone weakness associated with Arimidex use, but keep in mind it was used for years on a daily basis. So for a bodybuilder that uses a proper dose during a cycle, runs it right, doesn't go overboard, you shouldn't have too many issues. Now, the dosing is going to vary from person to person. Like I said, blood work's going to determine it. Most people start with 0.5 milligrams every other day. All right? That's where most people start and assess from there. See, normally it's a little bit easier to dial your Arimidex dose in than your Aromacin, because Aromacin's a lot stronger. And most people using Arimidex are not really gynecomastia prone, so 0.5 just works. But you got to make sure it's not crushing your estrogen and it's working to do what it's supposed to do. So that is Arimidex for you, top to bottom. That should cover everything. That being said, www.icearms.com/forums, and I'm also on the Evolutionary Forum and Elite Fitness Forum, and Dylan@icearms.com is where you can get me with all questions and comments. Please read the descriptions. You can see where to find all my old videos, all my social media links, and just learn about the video in general. So that being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.